Hello everyone, this is Cobalt. This is the next video in my character analysis series for Brawlhalla. I'll be doing a brief introduction of the character followed by a frame data analysis on their signatures, and if you want to skip all this and get straight into the info, there's a timestamp in the description, and don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with the release of your favorite legend. There's also some codes in the comments if anybody wants some. In these analyses, I want to focus solely on the character's signatures. Light attack combos are covered much more in depth than I ever could elsewhere and function pseudo-comparably for all characters of that weapon class. So I'm not going to be discussing the general neutral of the character with their weapons unless it pertains in some way to their signatures. Firstly, I want to give clear descriptions of the terminology I'll be using. Startup frames are the amount of frames that happen after a move has begun until the first hitbox of the move becomes active. Active frames are the duration of frames that the move contains hitboxes that can collide with your opponent. FAF, or First Actionable Frame, is the first frame available where your character is able to move again after the move has been started. For all of this data, I use the character's jump to display the first actionable frame. Lastly, on miss refers to the move not making contact with an opponent, and on hit refers to the move making contact with an opponent. I'm going to be doing my analysis today on the next newcomer to Brawlhalla, Tezca the Luchador. Oscar Huerta, or Tezca as he's known in the ring, was the most beloved luchador in Mexico by the age of 16. He was a descendant of the ancient Jaguar Kingdom, and after learning of his heritage, he became a vigilante hero battling for justice. He saved the world from his evil sister Shell, sick skin by the way, and from Dr. Evilstein. Alright. He's one of the best showmen in Valhalla and continues to fight for glory there. Tezca's weapons are battle boots and gauntlets. He's the first user of the battle boots to come to the game, and honestly these things look insane in terms of combo potential, but I'll save that analysis for another time. I think he's going to be a very good legend, and the mobility offered by both battle boots and gauntlets will make for an insane character design. His stat distribution is 7 strength, 5 dexterity, 5 defense, and 5 speed. This stat spread is incredibly fitting for a wrestler, and I think it's a solid one. It's slightly slower on the speed side, and I have no idea yet how dexterity impacts the battle boots, but I'm guessing very little. This weapon combination suits the wrestler motif very well. So, will the luchador with the brand new kicks be able to pin down the competition? Let's find out. Let's start with his battle boots. Battle Boots side sig has 22 frames of startup, active frames from 23 to 32 with an FAF of 55. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Tezca leaps forward with a mighty dropkick, a signature wrestling technique at its finest. It has slightly above average startup, decent active frames, and slightly above average FAF. It covers quite a bit of distance horizontally though, and could definitely be good for punishing reckless approaches. Battle Boots neutral signature has 18 frames of startup, active frames from 19 to 27 with an FAF of 50. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. On hit, the move converts into a second hit with active frames from 41 to 45 with a new FAF of 69. It has slightly below average startup and FAF. It doesn't hit grounded opponents, and like several other neutral sigs, sends the opponent straight downward with a second connecting hit, which can assist in some early edge guards. Battle Boots down sig has 17 frames of startup, active frames from 18 to 25 with an FAF of 49. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. On hit, the move functions as a command grab with 2 variants based on active input, with FAF values of 73 for no input and 87 for held input. It has pretty solid startup and FAF on miss, and the variants offer you different positioning control based on where you send your opponent. I think this signature is going to be really good, not to mention the animations for it are insanely cool. Next up is his gauntlets. Gauntlets side sig has 19 frames of startup, active frames from 20 to 30 with an FAF of 51. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. On hit, the move converts into a second series of hit that look like command grabs. There's also 2 variants for this based on active input that add active frames from 40 to 59 and 40 to 70 with FAFs of 84 and 95 respectively. The SIG has decent frame data and provides decent threat coverage and disjoint moving forward, and though its horizontal coverage isn't quite as large as Battle Boot side SIG, it's still useful, and the positioning control with the active input will be useful here as well. Gauntlet neutral sig has 16 frames of startup, active frames from 17 to 24 with an FAF of 49. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. On hit, the move functions as a command grab with a new FAF of 88. This move has really good frame data. For reference, it's 2 frames faster than a series neutral sig on Katars. I think that this sig is going to be insanely good and functions well for catching jumping opponents or those recovering high. Gauntlet down sig has 19 frames of startup, active frames from 20 to 63, Jesus, with an FAF of 78. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. This SIG has average startup, but holy hell, the active frames for this move are insane. Over 40 active frames, and they're all active while moving as well. If you miss it, you'll be in for a fat punish considering how long it takes, but this SIG has some insane coverage at ledge, and I think it could be useful in certain situations, but will probably be held back by its slower startup. So overall, his SIGs are slightly below average in terms of their frame data, surprisingly. His neutral SIG on Gauntlets and down SIG on Battle Boots are the standouts in this regard, at 16 and 17 frames of startup respectively. The Luchador theme really speaks to the nature of most of his signatures being grappling techniques in some capacity, and several of them using command inputs as well to take advantage of this. They offer him mixed threat coverage on both of his weapons horizontally and vertically, and this coverage in tandem with the mobility that's offered by his two weapons I think will make for one insane combination. His down SIG on Gauntlets is probably his worst signature in my opinion, simply because of how long it takes, but I still think that it'll have its use. His neutral SIG on Gauntlets still kind of blows my mind, and I think it's going to be a really terrifying SIG. Overall, I'm betting he's going to be a very threatening character. I really love his character design, and the alternate skins that they released, and the skin for Chell were an excellent touch. The animations that they implemented for his grappling moves were also really cool to see, and I have to give the design team props for that. I think that the Gauntlets are still in a decent spot in the meta, and I think that Battle Boots will likely not be far behind, but we'll have to see. As soon as a new legend drops again, I'll do another one of these, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the release of the next legend, and hope to see you guys back for the next one. I've got another video dropping tomorrow, so be sure to tune in. Once again, I'm Cobalt, and thanks for watching.